As a member of the Central United States Earthquake Consortium, the Indiana Department of Homeland Security was extensively involved with the preparations for NLE 11 and worked closely with the many partners to develop the most realistic and beneficial exercise possible. Preparations included ongoing training at all levels, extensive planning and evaluation, and numerous tabletop exercises and drills to prepare public safety professionals and private sector partners. With the commitment of local, state, and federal partners, IDHS led what was one of the largest full-scale public safety exercises ever conducted in the state. Local emergency medical services, law enforcement officers, firefighters, county emergency management officials, state and federal government personnel, and non-government private sector partners from nearly 3/4 of Indiana's 92 counties took part in the exercise. The importance of realistic, real-time exercises cannot be underestimated. They provide vital and constructive opportunities to enhance emergency planning and execution. Public safety professionals must be prepared to deal with catastrophic incidents. We and the citizens who count on us have a deep stake in the outcome. While this exercise focused on increasing the preparedness of our public safety personnel, we all must remember and continue to promote the importance of individual and family preparedness. Small steps of preparedness may make the difference between being a survivor rather than a victim. Thank you.
7.1.
I don't know what happened.
A tremendous 7.1 earthquake rattles the Midwest, causing massive damage and disruption.
Collapsed building here, we've got one victim inside.
Fires, gas leaks, collapsed buildings, chaos, and critical injuries.
Somebody get this victim that you came across.
It is almost unimaginable. And yet, that's exactly what was imagined in a national-level training exercise by the Department of Homeland Security. In Indiana, the largest exercise in state history will push first responders and incident managers alike, force district response task forces to mobilize, and test the resolve of everyone involved. In the earthquake scenario, its epicenter is in southern Indiana. The damage is extensive and quickly overwhelms local responders. Indiana's district response task forces, several from northern districts, are called upon to mobilize and help.
The scenario was actually based on an earthquake, that New Madrid earthquake, which also triggered a Wabash Valley fault line earthquake. But the objectives really of this exercise are to deploy our district response task forces and incident management teams that are embedded with them and exercise the command and control of the tactical resources so we can help identify the weaknesses in the process that we've developed to bring resources from one part of the state that is in an unaffected area to the affected area of the state.
Well, the idea is that whenever an incident occurs, that agency or that location owns it. But sometimes it's bigger than what they can handle. And instead of depleting all of the equipment or all the people from neighboring area, you take a few people from many different agencies and put them together to apply to the same concept or the same incident working together. That's the idea of a task force. You take leadership, you take those that drive the trucks, you take those boots on the ground, put them all together, a multifunctional, multi-agency response team.
Almost immediately upon arrival, a task force is called into action. The quake has devastated a community. Homes are on fire, some partially collapsed. A nearby construction site has seen tragedy. Downed power lines add more danger to this situation.
There was an earthquake. I need you out of this building because it's safer.
First crews on the scene do a quick assessment.
Hey, we got multiple.
We need help from search and rescue.
One unconscious talking, but I can barely see him.
And collapsed structure experts.
We got a partially collapsed building here. We've got one victim inside 124. We're going to need a crew.
As the firefighters douse flames, fight smoke, and do initial rescue, specially trained responders arrive.
2 victims?
One in this room, and got another victim in that room.
How are you doing? You need any water or anything?
and begin tackling the more complicated cases.
I requested a ladder truck. We'll get a ladder truck, set it there. We'll send the ladder truck up.
Just as the situation begins to gather a sense of control, a new emergency explodes on the other side of town. A refinery is ablaze, shooting flames 90 feet into the air. First crews assess, move quickly to rescue injured workers, and begin the battle.
Did somebody get this victim that you came across? Because he's missing.
Back at command headquarters, incident commanders, highly trained in emergency management, try to get a handle on how thinly spread their resources are and prepare for the next 12 to 72 hours of the disaster.
Logistics? Group plan? PIO? Yes. Liaison?
Yes.
Two of the primary areas that an incident management team and anybody that is in emergency management has to struggle with is getting a good overall picture of what has happened. Not kind of a tunnel vision on one specific event, but looking at the overall picture. And the other thing is what resources are there on scene, what's been ordered, who's there that is self-dispatched, what part of their emergency response organization is still available. And so these incident management teams can come in and get that common operating picture, get a handle on the resources, and then in doing so they have a great picture of where they are, and then they can get a better idea of where they need to go.
The incident management teams excel in advanced stages of the incident command system, and that allows command and control to be established. When you get into the larger disasters and catastrophic incidents, what's usually lacking is the organizational structure of response. So when the incident management teams get employed, they understand those advanced concepts of the incident command system and really reduce the need for resources, which becomes an economic benefit. It also helps with the organizational response, which means lives saved and the incident stabilized early, which means less property damage.
We're trying to gain Type 3 incident knowledge so that we can manage the Type 3 incident. We're looking to bring our team up to speed with other Type 3 incident command units around the state or around the nation so that we could actually be of use in the event that we have a Type 3 event in any place in Indiana or outside the boundaries of Indiana.
Incident management teams also have scenarios to deal with. A power outage hits their command center. No panic, they simply deal with the task at hand.
Okay, so right now the only problem that we're going to run into is printing. Am I correct, you guys?
Until a generator is located and started up 15 minutes later.
In this exercise, we've really tried to stretch the incident management teams, being a new concept for Indiana, and tried to get the tactical resources to understand how to operate within the confines of an incident management team, because that is not something that's been normally done throughout the state. So that's one area that we've really tried to do. We've really tried to push joint operations. We've found that typically police officers work well with other police officers, or firefighters work well with other firefighters, but where the complexities come in is when you have multiple jurisdictions and multiple disciplines interacting with one another. So they have communications issues, they have issues in just language, being able to speak the same language and understand one another as to what you're specifically asking for. This exercise also really stretches the capacity of resources. Lots of different events going on in a hyperdynamic situation, which means they have to learn how to operate with fewer resources and make them go farther.
As an incident management team, you have to be flexible, because you can write plans all day long, but when it comes right down to it, the actual incident is going to be different than your plan. So your incident management team has to be flexible, be able to roll with it, whatever comes at you, and deal with it and move on.
Incident managers try to prioritize as they deal with an entire shutdown in the social service network. There are innocent victims everywhere, and some not so innocent.
What? I don't trust you now.
Get the out of here, you son of a Get us out of here! Calm down, bring it out right now. We've been here long enough. Turn around, face the wall.
In a disaster scenario, prisons have to be quickly secured in order to prevent escapes, which would only elevate the chaos already in play. It's the inmates running the asylum at the local hospital. psych ward and other patients are roaming free as the injured converge there, looking for help.
Help! I need to get him some help! Please! Please, anybody!
Police are able to move inside and work to calm patients, as well as secure the building, so organized medical care can continue.
Sir, sit down! Sit down. You guys ain't joking.
Are you living?
Are you crazy? Are you crazy? No, I'm not. I wasn't. Are you crazy?
At a remote site, EMS crews have set up a triage area for victims. They are evaluated for relatively minor, major, or catastrophic injuries.
Backing up. Low back pain, questionable loss of consciousness, firefighter.
Everywhere, dramas play out as the community deals with the shock of the quake. From tightly clutching pets to the fear of lost loved ones.
Close to him, I don't want to leave him.
We'll do the best we can to get him.
It's clearly exhausting, and a key part of incident management training is making sure that in a longer-term disaster response such as this, that emergency personnel get rest and recovery time. As they mobilize, they set up tent camps so they can be self-sufficient.
We got 80 people now that have been down here for, well, basically 3 days when we leave tomorrow. And we did the call tree, so we know all the information is correct. We did a mobilization, which the personal information we know is correct. We set up a convoy. We moved those people from, I'm moving 5 hours from northern Indiana down here on the road. We know we can do it safely, and we can go anywhere in the world and sustain ourselves for 72 hours. I can take MREs, I can take water, I can take my shelter systems, I can take my people, and when we move into a place, we're there, and we're not a burden on the structure that's there. And that's key, because when we move in, we can't make the situation worse. We're there to make it better.
It's just like sports, practice makes perfect. So the more we practice, the more we buy this equipment and we exercise with it, we'll be even more ready for the real thing. It's not if it happens, it's when it happens.
As some rest, another task force squad is dealing with a huge building collapse, what had been the local library. Tactical search and rescue, K-9 and other units have converged there. Many of these groups are ancillary parts of the District Response Task Force.
So supplemental things, technical rescue, which we have stood up on our task force, which can cover everything from structural collapse to water rescue to rope rescue. There's search and rescue, canine search and rescue, there's wilderness search and rescue, there's just all kinds of things, damage assessment teams.
We call them supplementals. You activate the core agency to get to the supplemental, but it all falls under NIMS and that chain of command.
Another ancillary unit is animal rescue.
We have 2 animals inside, 2 horses. One is down and non-ambulatory, it looks like. The other one...
Animal rescue is often overlooked, but became a critical factor in previous emergencies.
We found in Hurricane Katrina that animal issues become a human issue, so it's very important to deal with these animal issues in a timely manner. And the PETS Act now, that is a federal law, says you have to provide for these animals to be rescued and their care. So we need all of the first responders to know that that law exists, and we can make it very painless for them.
This is an important exercise for animal rescue, to be exposed as a resource to other members of the district response task forces.
We are testing the fact that emergency responders know how to use us to begin with, that they know we exist and that we're legitimate. We have emergency responder training, we have hazmat training where we function in the NIMS system and go right along with everything that they know and believe and how they function, and we want them to know that we're not crazy tree huggers. We're here to deal with the animal issues for them.
All of this is going on at the Muscatatuck Urban Warfare Training Center. It is a tremendous asset for preparedness. The center has brought people in from across the country to observe and learn.
It's not going to get any better than this, I mean, unless we're really actually there. The facilities here at Muscatatuck are fantastic. The training, the tactical rescue team will come together for maybe 4 hours a month to work together. Here they were working for 8 hours straight, the whole team, not sections of the team, the whole team, 36 men out there working. Along with their leadership, putting a squad in here, putting a squad in there, command and control, radioing it back to the incident command, getting logistics out there. It was all put together today.
This will prepare our country for anything that comes, and that's what it's designed to do. And it's by Rather than just sitting around a table and discussing all the issues that could arise, these folks learn firsthand, especially as incident managers, they learn firsthand what the problems can be.
It's good that they have an opportunity for people to work together in an exercise environment so they can build a better working relationship with each other and build a rapport and understand each other's capabilities. Emergency is not a good time to first meet someone and learn about what they do and what they can do to help you.
This facility has been providing, and looks like it will in the future, be able to provide the opportunity for teams to come in and actually get some of their task books signed off, so an individual can actually perform in the position that they would in a real incident and get some of their tasks signed off to help them get qualified.
It's sobering to think that our state might actually go through such an event, but it's also comforting to know that while we are trained and prepared to address such events, going through the exercise will be even better prepared.
It does no good if you write a plan and leave it sit on the shelf and never pull it off and exercise it. Same way with the team. If you throw a team together and you never exercise them, when the true disaster hits, we're not going to do anybody any good. We're not going to do ourselves any good. We may get somebody hurt. We're not going to do anybody injustice because we're not going to know how to work together. We're not going to know how to do our jobs right. We do our normal jobs day to day, and that's what they're doing here. But if you don't ever come together with the people that you're working with, it's just not going to coincide. It's just you're not going to have that cohesiveness as you do if you exercise and train together. And so to run a true scenario exercise is priceless.
The way we do business is to prepare for the worst case scenario. Because if you're prepared for the worst case scenario, then dealing with the smaller ones is so much easier. And so having an exercise of this scale, of a massive earthquake that is going to tax your resources and is going to tax your incident management team and your entire command structure and your coordination with other structures outside as well. If you can do that, then you can handle anything that comes your way.
A lot of times we do exercises, we oftentimes will do what we call tabletop or functional exercises. We'll only practice one part in isolation. But in a real disaster, it doesn't work that way. You have not only operations going on in the centers, but you also have people in the field. And one of the things that a facility like this allows us to do is to see teams working in what I call a three-dimensional environment. You're just not walking out and finding a patient. You're actually getting to a building that you've never been to before. There's a person trapped there, and you're going to have to use all of your skills to get them out. And just getting them out doesn't get it done, because now you got to make sure you can get them to an ambulance, to a medical crew, and get them to care. That type of environment allows you to bring different teams in from across the country, across the state, and have them practice their roles in a realistic environment to prepare them for what they may face in a disaster.
This is one of the largest exercises Indiana and the United States has ever done. This one is on a scale of 1,200 responders that are spread between Muscatatuck here and the Muscatatuck Urban Training Center, and then Plainfield. We have a simulation cell that's helping coordinate with the other 8 states and countries, additional countries that are participating in the exercise as well.
We've also been testing our catastrophic earthquake response plan, which has been in development over the past several years, or refinement, I guess, over the past several years. National level exercise, which means there were 8 states that have been involved in the development and planning and execution of this exercise among several different FEMA regions. So not only do we have multiple states, but we have multiple FEMA regions, which has really tested the national response framework and how the nation would respond to a disaster. So we brought in federal urban search and rescue teams to this exercise. It's been a huge piece of this exercise to see how the interaction between federal resources and state resources and local resources all work together.